Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rob Foster, your host of Shut Up and Grind. Today we're going to be talking about retirement. So I have some tech problems going on. Like this is weird green stuff floating around by my head, and my computer's going really slow. So hopefully we don't have any any issues during this episode, or we can get through everything. Because my guest today is going to be talking about how to set yourself up for retirement. So if you're new to the show, if you're joining me over on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're joining me on my Facebook pages, again, please like and share. And if you're brand new, we have different topics, different guests. I've had guests from all over the world. This podcast is heard in 38 different countries. We're closing in on 40. And it's all about overcoming obstacles, taking control of your life, defying the odds, and just getting to whatever end result you are looking for. So today we're going to be setting up yourself to have a wonderful end of life. End of life. That probably that doesn't sound right. Better golden years of your life. Like end of life sounds so final. So I definitely shouldn't have said it that way. So to help me have this conversation, we brought on Frank Gutta. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me on your show, Robert.
My pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out on this Sunday to share about this topic, because I know I got my notebook all ready, because I know I'm going to... Oh, camera's over here. I got my notebook all ready, so I'm going to learn from you myself. So first and foremost, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Fort Lauderdale. I like that area.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you originally from there?
No, actually, I'm originally from South Africa.
Okay.
I came to the States in 77, about 45 years ago, and moved to Fort Lauderdale in 82, about 40 years ago.
Nice. So what brought you over here from Africa?
Well, I grew up in South Africa during apartheid,
Okay.
and being of the wrong race, I had no right to vote. I was born in a society where my parents had no right to vote, so I said I didn't want to live in a country like that, so I decided to leave.
Okay. Boy. Yeah, that must have been a tough time. That didn't end until like the early 90s, right?
94 when Mandela became president, correct?
Yes. Wow. I remember all that. Yep, I remember all that. Wow. Well, good for you for making the decision to give yourself a better opportunity.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with that. And a lot of people also struggle with taking care of their retirement. So how did you get into this field?
Sure. I've been a CPA in practice for over 35 years. And prior to that, I was with the national CPA firm. And over the years, clients would ask me, what do I do with my money? Where do I invest it? So I got involved and studied more, because I would refer them out to a broker, and often it wasn't the right thing for them, and wasn't always the right thing for the client. And as my clients get older, and I'm getting older as well, when a lot of my clients experienced what happened in 2001 and 2008, I said, there's got to be a better way, especially if you're older and you're getting closer to retirement, which I call the retirement danger zone, which is the 5 years before and the first 5 years during retirement. If you go in the traditional way of investing in stocks and bonds and real estate and stuff like that, and when values go down and you're starting to withdraw money, you could have a problem. If you mind, I can give you an example of how that works, which is the return, the risk of returns.
Yeah.
Let me give you two examples: Mr. Smith and Miss Jones. They both retired at age 65. They both had over $1 million in their portfolio. They both had an average annual return of about 10.5% during the growth period, including the ups and downs. That doesn't mean that they were getting 10.5 every year. Some years they made 30%, some years they lost 30%.
Gotcha.
They both withdrew 5% from their portfolio. They felt, well, if I made an average annual return of 10.5, and if I'm withdrawing 5, I should be okay. The only difference was that Mr. Smith retired 5 years before Miss Jones. Mr. Smith unfortunately ran out of money, whereas Miss Jones was okay. So what happened? This is what's called the sequence of returns. Mr. Smith didn't realize that the year he retired, the market also went down. So he was taking out money out of his portfolio, and the account value is going down. He basically created a death spiral that he could never recover from, and eventually had to move in with his kids. Whereas Miss Jones was okay because when she retired, the market actually went up and she had a cushion. So when the market went down later, she was okay. So my question to a lot of people is, do you want to leave your retirement to the vagaries of the stock market, or do you want certainty? And I think most people would want certainty.
Certainty.
And
Yep.
and that's why I wrote my book, Your Safe Retirement Roadmap, which talks about the four bucket system. Do you want me to get into that, or?
Safe retirement. Hey, this is your baby. Go right ahead.
The first bucket is your liquidity bucket. This is money you keep aside for emergencies, because emergencies will happen
Yes.
and usually happen at the most inopportune time. So you want to make sure that you have enough money set aside for emergency, usually about 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside in a savings account. Even with low interest, you need some emergency money. Once you've got the emergency money set up, then you look at monies that you want to use for the future, for growth, that'll give you an income stream to replace the paycheck you were getting while you were working. And that can be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, a growth annuity, etc. The third bucket is the income bucket. This is the bucket that will create a pension for you, because less than 20% of the population has a pension today. So you need to create our own. And in order to do that, there's only three vehicles that can do that. It's a pension, but less than 20% of the population has a pension. And the rest is Social Security, which is essentially a pension issued by the US government. And the third and only other vehicle where you can create an income stream that is guaranteed for life is through an annuity. So what is an annuity? An annuity is an investment through an insurance company. And what they do is you give them a sum of money and they'll give you an income stream that is guaranteed for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live, no matter what happens in the stock market. So if Mr. Smith had an annuity, he wouldn't have had to worry. Even when the market went down, he would have continued to get the check for as long as he lived, for the rest of his life. And if he was married, for the rest of his spouse's life. So that's the third bucket, and that's a key bucket that most people don't really understand and take into account. The fourth bucket is what you want to pass on to the next generation. And you can do that for pennies on the dollar, income tax free if done properly. Because a lot of people feel guilty that if they spend all their money, what they're going to leave for the next generation or the kids, and they kind of don't spend their money. But if you do it this way, you essentially give yourself a permission slip to spend all your money because the kids are already taken care of.
Okay. So now this isn't the first episode I've done on retirement, but I haven't heard it broken down like this before.
Okay.
So this is no, I'm saying, like, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So now you're talking about the retirement danger zone. So just go a little deeper into that again, and then I have some follow-up questions about what you just shared too. But I want to start with the retirement danger zone.
Sure. Imagine if you worked hard all these years and you worked for 20, 30 years and you saved up a nice nest egg, maybe $1 million in your 401k plan, and you decide to retire. And this is not 2008 when we had this recession.
Yeah.
The market fell 30%, and you're taking out money, you could end up like Mr. Smith. So you've got to definitely, especially the 5 years before and the first 5 years during retirement, which is the retirement danger zone, you want to avoid taking stock market risk. I mean, $1 million, a 30% decline, that's $300,000.
Yeah.
Whereas there's ways to do that without losing a dime. Clients that have listened to me didn't lose a dime in 2001 or 2008. They didn't make as much when the market went up, but at least when you look at protecting your downside and sharing in the upside, you generally outperform other vehicles, especially in a down market. In an up market, you might not perform as well, but if you saved enough money, and why risk it? Why risk if you're younger and you're doing dollar cost averaging? That's fine. You might be okay because As the market goes down, you're buying cheaper stocks, and you're accumulating money. But when you're taking out money, it works against you, especially during this phase of the retirement danger zone.
So in my circles, I hear a lot of people don't invest because it's so confusing. So like it's like how do you get people to understand what all this means?
Yeah, that's very true. People don't have concept about the stock market. They listen to tips and then they buy stuff and it goes down, or they buy penny stocks and things like that. I think you got to have a discipline. Uh, there's a lot of books you can read about retirement planning. You got to have, like I said, the bucket system, because now you've got emergency set aside. You know that this other money that you're having for long-term growth, you're not going to touch for several years, 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And then you've got this other bucket, especially if you're 50 and over and you've accumulated a nice sum. You want to protect what you have and then have that give you an income stream. Because what I like to do is look at your cash flow currently, and then I project what your cash flow will be in retirement. Because now you have a mortgage, you might have kids, you have kids to put through college, etc. And when you get older and your kids are already out of the house, so that's taken care of, perhaps your mortgage is paid off, so you really don't have that big expense, but you might have more travel, you might have more medical expenses, etc. So you got to account for all of those things. And and if you use this bucket system, it makes it simple for people to follow. Uh, that's what I would recommend to people, or go and see a financial professional, that understands all these things. When you're younger, like I said, you could be a little bit more aggressive, but as you get older, and especially if you've accumulated a lump sum of money, you want to protect it.
Okay. So were you always interested in numbers? Like, is that why you became a CPA?
Yes, always. That came natural to me. My dad had a retail store, and he would show me, how to do the banking and
Hmm.
count the money. So I was very little, and I always had interest in that. And when I finished high school, and my one of my teachers talked to me about, hey, what a CPA is and what an accountant does, and it's the language of business, and I was always interested in that. So.
Nice. Yeah, it's like I like to know why people do what they do. But
Right.
and so you're definitely going to have no shortage of clientele, of prospects out there. Because I once turned down a speaking gig at a school because they didn't want me. Because like a segment of my speech is I show the kids that how they can make money with their smartphones, and
Uh,
they didn't want me to do that because it was a trade school. She's like,
uh,
the purpose of this school is we want the kids to go on to either further education or to enter the workforce. And I
right.
was like, but they should be able to make their own decision on what they do. Like they have to know what's available to them,
Right.
and so they said, we'll gladly have you come in and speak, but we don't want you speaking about entrepreneurship. So it's like, the kids are groomed to just enter the workforce.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's what they said. Work hard, get a job.
Yeah.
Very little about entrepreneur. People don't understand investments. They don't understand being an entrepreneur, what it is, what's involved.
Yep.
And if you look at the most successful people in the world, they're entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
true. It's so true. And all right, so getting back to your book, your Safe Retirement Roadmap. So, what inspired you to write that?
The same reason, because what happened in 2001 and 2008. And I just said people don't need to take unnecessary risk, because if you invested, even if you didn't withdraw money in 2001, it took 14 years just to break even. So those 14 years, if you had something where your principal was protected from stock market risk, and you're not losing any money during that period, and when it recovers, you recover from the high watermark. For example, if you had $600,000 in your 401k and you had it in something like what I talk about, where your principal is protected, and the market goes down 30%, you lose nothing. Your 600 is intact.
Yeah.
uh, 2 3 years later, the market goes up 10%, you go up from 600 to 660, whereas the other one that went down to 400 or 300,000 will go up from there. So when you really take into account the losses and the gains, most of the time, especially when you've accumulated a large sum, you should come out ahead.
Yeah.
Plus, it gives you peace of mind and no stress. Imagine being, if you did a proper plan and you know that in retirement you need, say, for example, 10,000 a month, just as an arbitrary, then take into account income taxes and everything else, and that would give you enough of an income, and of course having something in there to keep up with inflation. And once you've established that, then you know that this would be a guaranteed, like an annuity, for example, will give you a guaranteed lifetime income of 8,000 or 10,000 or whatever the number is. You're already set.
Yeah.
Anything over and above that, you can take a little bit more risk. You can invest it in different things. If you're into real estate, you can do that. And real estate is a great investment, but there's risk there too.
Yeah.
So if you want certainty, then no matter what happens, that 10 grand is coming to you every month, no matter what happens. And the rest you can be a little bit more aggressive with, or spend it on the kids or whatever.
Yeah, see, I think that part should ease some people's minds, because you mentioned it earlier, because I think a lot of people are afraid of the risk.
Absolutely. Or taking unnecessary, especially, like I said, when you get older. When you're young, you could, because you got time to recover, and you're not taking money out, you're putting money in. And that
Yes.
works in your favor at times. But when you're taking money out, it's like works the opposite way.
Yeah.
So, and I think people are unaware, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there, especially some people saying, oh, don't get an annuity. It's like saying, you see one bad movie, don't go to the movies. I mean, it just, makes no sense. So it depends. There's some annuities with high fees and all that, and you want to avoid those. I'm talking about ones with low fees with principal protection.
Okay. Good. So how can people get your book?
Oh, yeah. My book is available on Amazon. In fact,
I'm pretty sure I have it in the description.
Yeah. It's Your Safe Retirement Roadmap. It's available on Amazon. I think this will be a big help to people. It's very easy to read. And again, for people on your show, if they want to call me, you can give them my email address. They can email me. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Awesome. So what do you think is the number one thing you help people with? Like, what are people struggling with the most when they come to you?
The biggest fear people have is the fear of speaking in public. The second biggest fear is the fear of running out of money in retirement.
Yeah.
And that's why I give people peace of mind. I have clients that have thanked me in 2001 and 2008 that invested with me, that didn't lose a dime. And one guy emailed me, he says, man, thank you. He says, my check comes month after month. I don't have to stress. You gave me peace of mind. And that makes me feel good. I feel like I've done something, helped somebody, and give them a stress-free retirement if I can.
Nice. It's like, I love it when I ask those questions, because you can always tell by the way the people answer the question if they're really passionate about what they do. And your face just lit up there when you were talking about that.
Thank you.
It's like I love that. It's like when I talk to people about fitness, I always tell them it's not the fact that I help you lose weight or I help you gain muscles. Like, it's when you display that confidence.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, yes, like that's why we're doing this, is for that. So giving them that peace of mind that they can do whatever it is that they want to do. So it's
Correct.
like different industries, but same target.
Correct.
Exactly. It's all about helping people.
Absolutely.
So what's next for you?
Well, I just became a grandpa, so
Congratulations.
I love that. But I still continue doing this, and I'll continue to work as long as I can to help as many people as I can. I think I can add a lot of value. I think with my background and experience, I can definitely help a lot of people. And that's my goal.
Yeah. Nice. So we connected from the National Publicity Summit, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did you get any good gigs from that?
Yes, I did. I did about 5 or 6
podcasts
and shows. So
nice.
yeah, that got me some exposure.
Awesome.
And
Yeah, they're good
and
people over there.
yes, yes, excellent, excellent. And
Yeah,
I'm
when
actually working on a course that I'm going to do online, which is similar to my Safe
nice.
Retirement Roadmap, but it's a course where people
Love
can
it.
sign up and send. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm almost done.
I'll actually be on the lookout for that too, because I'm not good with money. I'll straight up own it. I own
Yeah.
it 100%. I'm just not good. But so I definitely need something to reel that in now. Like, I'm gonna be 48 in a couple weeks, so it's like
Okay. Yeah, I
I
think
gotta
it's
start
yeah.
thinking. Yeah, I
And
gotta start
you do
thinking
the
now.
training, right?
Yeah,
Just as you take care of your body, you take care of your money the
yeah,
same way. And if you look at it that way, a little bit every day can amount to a lot of money. So, like, if you work out every day or 5 days a week, it makes a huge difference.
yeah,
Um, you
yeah. I
know,
told you I just got back from a hike. That's why I'm still sweating. It's true. If I worked on that as hard as I work on me, I'd be rolling.
exactly. So, yeah, it's just a matter of discipline and realizing what your end goal is and then shooting for that and monitoring your goal as you go along. And I
Yes.
think, that's key.
All right. So let's go back to the bucket system.
Yes.
So you said the first one is you want to put away 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, and where are you putting that? Just in a savings
In a
account?
savings account, yeah, something you don't worry. That's not meant for investment. That's just for emergency money, because emergencies will happen.
Yeah.
And one of the things about an annuity, usually for them to give you that lifetime income guarantees, there's usually some surrender charges at it, so it's not readily available because that's essentially a long-term investment.
Yeah.
So you want to have this bucket of money for emergencies, so you don't have to touch any of the other assets, your stock portfolio or your in a long-term growth annuity, something like that, because you got this emergency money. AC breaks down, your car, this happened,
Mhm.
that happened. You just tap into this bucket, so it doesn't interfere with the rest of the bucket and let that grow.
Yes. Okay. And then you mentioned stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. So obviously, for people that don't know, you would go seek out someone like yourself
Correct.
to do this. But again, I think a lot of people fear it because they don't understand it.
Right. Yeah. That's so true. That's why people use financial advisors and go and interview a few, see who you like, maybe go by referrals, people that have used somebody,
Yeah.
because it's like I said, there's a lot of people out there that probably either don't understand some of the vehicles and sometimes don't give you the right advice. Uh, but yeah, it's something that you want to probably, you know, go with somebody that is used a financial planner and maybe recommend somebody like that, and read books, understanding the stuff. You can read my book and see if you agree with what I'm doing. And in all fairness, my book is more targeted towards 50 and over, because people that have accumulated some money, or late 40s and over.
Yeah.
But people that are in the 20s and 30s, they could be a little bit more aggressive, and they might not have a lump sum of money, and they can invest in mutual funds and dollar cost averaging, something like that, ongoing basis. And then once they accumulated a lump sum of money, then they can be a little bit more conservative and protect what they've accumulated.
And so now with young people, because I have a 23-year-old and a 20-year-old right
Wow.
now, like would something like an annuity benefit them this young if they were just putting in little by little?
A growth annuity may work for somebody like that, because the big advantage of that is tax deferred. If it's earmarked because they cannot touch the money till age 59 and a half.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a forced savings, because if you invested a dollar, say in the stock market, and it's a taxable account, so every time you make a profit, a capital gains, or dividends, you're paying taxes on it.
Hmm.
And just as an example, if you were in the highest 35% tax bracket, and if you took a dollar, doubled it, and every year it doubled. Takes 20 years for a dollar to turn into $1 million. So one becomes two, two becomes four, 8,
Yeah.
16, 32. If you were in the 35% tax bracket, took a dollar, paid taxes on it. It doubled, say to $2, paid the taxes on it. So you left on that additional dollar, you got 65 cents. So you got $1.65. That doubles to 3.20. Then you pay taxes on it. You lose about almost $1 million. So you after 20 years, after paying taxes, you might have, you know, $15,000-$20,000 in your account as opposed to $1 million.
Wow.
So money that is earmarked for retirement, you want to defer taxes on it as much as you can. So that's where annuities would come in, for growth annuity. The other thing, for young people, I recommend a Roth IRA, especially for your 23-year-old. If they're working, they
Yes.
can put away $6,000 a year into a Roth IRA. They don't get the tax deduction now, but it's tax deferred. And then when they get to be age 60, and say that that ends up being $200,000, the entire $200,000 is tax free.
Wow.
So you don't get the benefit of the seed, but you get the benefit of the harvest when you
Yes.
retire. So for young people, I highly recommend. Now there's restrictions. You got to make less than 130,000. I believe the number is in 2022. So where you can contribute to a Roth IRA. So if they're not making that kind of money, I would suggest a Roth IRA very much for younger people. I've done that for my kids, and now I'm going to do it for my grandkids. Well, grandkids can't do a Roth IRA yet because they're not working, but
What
I'm
you mean?
opening up an account for them to, for college and so. And as they get older, when they start working on, like what I did with my kids, you know.
Yes. Love it. All right, so give us a final takeaway here. Like if it's something that you want people to take away from this time, what is it?
There's a lot of misconceptions out there, and people, like I said, one of the things, the third bucket that I use, which is for the annuity, which creates a pension for you, gives you a guaranteed lifetime income without stock market risk. People need to look into that, not have an open mind, because there's, people say, oh, I've had so many cases where, well, you're talking about an annuity. I hate annuities. So why do you hate annuities? I mean, it just makes no sense. Look into it. There's annuities with low fees where principal is protected. So something like that to look for retirement will give you an income stream that is guaranteed for the rest of your life. If you're looking to pass on to the next generation, there's effective ways to do that. Income and estate tax free. Now, for the younger people that don't have a lot of money, that can spare maybe a few hundred a month, or maybe 6,000 a year, definitely do a Roth IRA if you qualify for it, because like I said, if you gross tax deferred and it's totally tax free when you take it out. And start saving early. No matter what you do, a couple of $100 a month you might not miss. Even if it's $50 a month, it's something better than nothing.
Yes.
And just continue doing that on an ongoing basis, and just forget about that money. Like you don't have it. When it comes out of your checking account, just like a regular bill, like a cell phone bill, or you won't miss it. And after 10 years or so, it's quite a bit of money that you've accomplished.
Yeah.
And and if you, as you make more money, contribute more to it. Contribute to your 401k, especially if the company's matching. Some companies match, 3-4%. That's free money. So if you're putting in $100 and they match $100, that's $200. You're getting 100% return on your money right there, and that's working tax deferred, and you're getting a tax deduction. You're not paying taxes on that money. So
Nice. All great advice. Love it. So that is our time. So thank you very much for taking the time. So I got a whole page full of notes over here. I'm gonna go talk to the kids as soon as we finish up here. And it's like, kids, Monday. Guess what we gotta do?
and you know what? The kids will thank you when you're long gone. They will remember, Dad. Hey, Dad did this for us. That's why I have this chunk of money.
Absolutely. All right. So let people know again how they can get in touch with you.
I can be reached by email, frank@frankgutta, GUTTA, That's the best way to reach me. My phone number is 954-629-7242. That's my cell number. You can call me there too if you want to. If I don't get back to you right away, just leave a message and I'll get back to you. And you can go to my website, yoursaferetirementroadmap.com.
Awesome. Love it. Frank, have yourself a great day down there in sunny Florida.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure working with you.
Yes, it was. All right. Take care. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Shut Up and Grind. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Robert has over 20 years experience pouring his knowledge and expertise at many events in the service and fitness industry, as well as secondary schools and universities. He has a true passion for helping others break through the barriers that are holding them back. To book Robert B. Foster to speak or to reach out, go to robertbfoster.com. Till next time, shut up and grind.